Hey y'all, this is Ren Caputo. I'm one of the owners here at Caputo Brothers Creamery. Thank you so much for checking out our demonstration videos. We're going to start you off easy. Today we're going to work with our cagliata, which is just the word for curd in Italian. You may not know, but we actually make the only fermented or cultured cheese curds that can be stretched into fresh mozzarella. And so that's exactly what we're going to do today. These curds were previously frozen. That's part of the process that actually pauses the fermentation so that we can actually ship these anywhere in the country. And then you keep it frozen until you're ready to use it. So I kept this frozen until about 4 hours before we started today. I just took and put the 1 pounder in some cold tap water and let that sit there for, like I said, about 3 or 4 hours. That'll make sure that you're nice and thawed. And once it is thawed, you need to use it right away. Because it is fermented, if you let it sit for a while, the fermentation's going to pick back up and eventually you'll get out of the range for stretching. So keep it frozen until you're ready to use it and then thaw 3 or 4 hours. Once it's thawed, we're going to open that up. Okay, and you're going to put those right into a stainless steel bowl. Now, I wouldn't want you to use aluminum, but or plastic. I don't love putting really hot things in plastic. Ceramic or glass would be fine so long as it says it can take the heat, because like I said, we're going to be putting 190-degree water in here. But stainless steel is certainly a nice, easy way to go. Once we have the curds out of the container, we're just going to break those apart. And what we're going to do is simply break those, more like a peel than a crush, into silver dollar or quarter size pieces. Just like that. We want to try to avoid the little rice-sized particles. But we also won't be able to stretch it if it's still one big hunk. So that's why I say typically silver dollar to quarter size pieces. You can also put this on a cutting board and cut it up into the cubes if you prefer. But when I'm demoing, for me, it's just easier to peel it apart. And there we go. So it looks like we have everything broken up now. And so what we want to do is add our salt. Now, it's going to look like I'm about to add a lot of salt to this. And that's because I'm about to add a lot of salt to this. It's important to add the salt directly to the curds. You don't need to make a salt bath first. We're simply just going to take a nice 5-finger heavy pinch, kind of like a whole handful, of kosher sea salt. You don't want to use iodized salt because iodine actually retards fermentation and leaves a bitter flavor in the cheese. So we're going to add not 1, not 2, but 3 per pound. Now, to keep you thoroughly confused here, we're going to mix a little bit of metric and English measurements here, but it's about 40 to 50 grams of salt per pound. So if you're the type of person that likes to measure things out, about 40 to 50 grams of salt will get you right where you need to be. And then we're just going to simply mix that around. And what that's going to do is that's going to create a salt concentration for us so that when we add the hot water, we'll be able to get the salt that we need inside the curds. Now that we have everything salted, we're ready to add the water. And 190 degrees is very important. Now we've got these great little kettles from Oster that we can program directly to 190 degrees. And when you start stretching a lot of cheese, head on over to Target or order one on Amazon for 30 bucks. It'll make sure that you make the cheese perfect every time. If you don't have a kettle like this, a pot of water on the stovetop with a meat thermometer does the exact same thing. So all I'm going to do is just simply pour enough water in over the curds to cover the curds. I don't want to fill the entire bowl with water. If I do, the curds tend to swim around on me a little bit, and it makes it a little more challenging to get the cheese to stretch. So 190 degrees goes right in over the curds, and then I give them a little bit of time here to rest, to warm up a little bit. I know that if you're like me, you like to stir, okay? And as soon as you put that water in there, you're gonna pick up your wooden paddle and you're gonna try to start stirring those curds around. Give them a few minutes. I always say get to your Zen moment, do a little yoga, then stretch your cheese, okay? We're not gonna be pulling on this mozzarella today, and I wanna make sure I make that point because I know, particularly in this country, a lot of folks talk about pulling mozzarella. We're not gonna pull mozzarella. In fact, to be honest, we're not gonna stretch mozzarella. We're gonna let the mozzarella stretch itself, and the way we do that is using our wooden spoon. I like to get one that's flat across here because once I let this heat up, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently go down along the bottom of the bowl and carefully push those curds to one side. Again, not a lot of vigorous stirring here. I'm being very gentle and just calmly pushing and carefully pushing those curds to the other side of the bowl. Once I get them over there, I'll take a quick check to see if I'm starting to stretch. And at this point, I can see it's not stretching too much. And that's probably because my curds were a little cold. So what I'm gonna do is take that hot water and this time go right along the side of the bowl. What that's gonna do is create a little hot spot right here along the side that'll bring the temperature up once again. The reason we're going through the process of stretching these cheese curds, or any pasta filata style cheese, so mozzarella, stracciatella, burrata, even provolone. Most people don't realize that provolone is just aged mozzarella, but it's stretched in the same technique. So what we're going to do by allowing the cheese to stretch is take the protein that's in the cheese curd, which is called casein, and elongate that protein. It's the elongation of that protein that gives you that nice texture, that nice mouthfeel from the mozzarella. It's the same reason they tell you you're supposed to chunk Parmigiano Reggiano and not slice it, because when you chunk it, it breaks on the natural protein chains and makes it more palatable. I've given that a little bit more time to heat up, so this time what I'm going to do is go back in with my paddle, and I should see the cheese starting to stretch. Now I forgot to mention, if you've never put your hands in 190-degree water, that's hot, okay? So this little guy right here is a cool water bowl. We call it the best friend bowl, and if you dip your hand in there before putting it in the hot water, it'll keep you nice and cool. So I'm going to dip my hand in the best friend bowl, go back under with my paddle, give a little push into the wood paddle, and now I'll see I'm starting to stretch. Again, if your hand gets too hot at any point, simply go back into your best friend bowl. And as the curds start to heat, they begin to stretch. Again, we're being very gentle here. So as you bring the cheese up from the paddle, just allow it to stretch under its own weight. It's really the cheese doing the work here. You can see that the curds are going from being lumpy and bumpy in consistency to smooth and shiny. Now for my perfectionists, we're not looking to get 100% of the lumps and the bumps out. We just want to get 2 to 3 nice stretches and then about 80 to 90% of the lumps and the bumps. Once we're there, then we're ready to start making it into the balls of mozzarella. So we're going to give this one more nice good stretch. And make sure that when you're holding the paddle, you give it a little bit of leverage. So it's human nature to want to hold the paddle down, but see, I don't get much stretching at that point. So just give it a little fulcrum. Don't be afraid to really show it off for your friends. Hold it up and allow it to stretch. Pretty cool, huh? Alrighty. I'm going to put that back down in there. And now I'm going to go with both hands into my best friend bowl. Get them nice and cool. take the cheese and do what I call the fold the socks technique. So you're just gonna fold the cheese under, just like you were folding a pair of socks. You know how you put socks together and kind of turn them inside out? That's what we're doing. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna work out the last little bit of lumps and bumps and put it into what we call the baguette shape. Now, if you're gonna be working with caprese, so like slicing tomatoes and slicing the mozzarella and layering them, stop right here and go into your cool water bowl. Because there's no sense worrying about making into the balls of mozzarella if you're just gonna slice it up anyways. You can stop right here, you're done, yay! But if you'd like to make the individual balls of mozzarella, I'm gonna show you how to do that now. Technically, in Italy, they're called Fior di Latte. Fior di Latte. That's because in Italy, it's illegal to call something mozzarella unless it's made from the milk of a water buffalo. This is made from cow's milk. So by Italian law, if we're going to make this into a fresh mozzarella style cheese, then it needs to be called Fior di Latte. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. You're going to take one end of the baguette out of the water, leaving the other end down, staying nice and warm. We're going to take that end, roll it under, gently make a mass. Rest that mass between your thumb and first finger, very gentle. Make a C for Caputo with the opposite hand. Push it into that C and let go. When you let go, you're going to close that C to the tightest fist you can. You'll actually feel the cheese start to break. One finger right underneath. Transfer to the palm of your hand, and that's your ball of fresh mozzarella, or in this case, Fior di Latte. And we're just going to put that into a bowl of cool water. Then you flip. You take this part that's been staying nice and warm down here in the bowl. You gently roll that under. Again, rest that between your thumb and first finger, making a C. Push it into that C and let go. When you let go, you squeeze it to the tightest fist you can until you feel the cheese start to break. If you don't feel the cheese starting to break, keep squeezing harder. That's what the word mozzarella actually comes from. Mozzare means to break or cut. Then simply one finger right underneath, transfer to the palm of your hand and right into your bowl of cool water. When you get to the end, again you go with the folding under technique, just like you did before, like you're making your socks. Push that into your C, squeeze to a tight fist, one finger right underneath, and transfer to your bowl. Now, what do you do with this last little piece? That's right, it's for you. After all, you're the cheese maker, right? You deserve a bite to eat. You've just done all the hard work. No, but really, it's important for you to taste that last little bite because that's going to tell you if your level of salt is appropriate inside the cheese. If you find that you didn't put quite enough salt in there, that's okay. When you serve the ball of mozzarella, make sure that you sprinkle a little more salt. So now that you have your cheese done, you're ready to serve it. You can keep it in this cool water for up to 10 hours, right at room temperature. Don't have to worry about refrigerating it. After all, the Italians believe that mozzarella should never be refrigerated, so feel free to keep it just like this till you're ready to eat the cheese. If you do need to store it overnight or put it in the refrigerator, you can put it right in this water, okay? Always keep it in the original water, no additional salt. That'll keep the cheese as fresh as possible. After a day or two, it's going to start to break down on you. So it's best to eat it fresh in water after a couple of days. If you plan on keeping it longer than that, take it out of the water and wrap it in some saran wrap. Then you can keep it in the refrigerator for up to 2 weeks. It'll dry out a little bit on you, but it'll still be great. So there you have it. Super easy. Everyone always tells me it looks easy, but I promise. Just a few easy steps, heat your water, plenty of salt, and have your paddle, and you'll be making Fior di Latte for all your friends. Thank you so much for watching, and let us know if you have any questions.